She might well have died before she got that, but she never slackened in her insistence that she would try to get the highest level of approval. So Clare's writing of her rule becomes, for women today, actually a parable of what it may take sometimes to achieve what others would call your impossible dream. There were very, very few examples of women attempting anything like this, up to the point of the origins of the Franciscan movement. Clare did not immediately set out to write a rule any more than Francis did, because they were both convinced that the only rule that they were bound to follow was the rule of the Holy Gospel. As time went on, she was a privileged observer of the fact that Francis was mandated to put his rule into writing, especially as his health deteriorated, and that was intended to protect brothers in the future and to give them solid guidance, to allow their consciences to be at ease, that they were observing what Francis would bless. Clare, too, waited till very close to the end of her life to actually commit a rule to the written form in which it has come down to us. What she had through her lifetime and preserved were small instructions from Francis, no more than a paragraph, but they were his instruction about how she and her sisters were to carry out their gospel living. As time went on, she realized that she was constantly being asked to change her way of life to include ownership of vast property and inheritance. And the more that was asked of her, I believe the more she began to realize as she grew older and sicker that while she was able to hold out, her successors might not have as much success. And so she began the work, no doubt in consultation with all the women in the monastery who lived the project with her. And she was able, 1 year before she died, to present a finished manuscript that was not in every instance her words. She drew from the rule of St. Benedict. She drew from certain norms of the church because she understood these are non-negotiables. These need to be there. But she placed the words of Francis smack in the middle so that you couldn't miss this is the heart of this proposal. And 1 year later, when she was dying and the Pope himself came to visit her, she asked him to give his personal approval to a document that was already there to be presented to him. I think the big lesson here is suffering patience. And we live in a culture where patience is really a very, very scarce commodity. And I also believe Pope John the 23rd had a prayer. O Lord, may we be willing to engage in projects larger and longer than our own lives. And I think we have a hard time engaging in projects and goals and struggles that may not be complete within our lifetime. We want to see the finish line. We want the palm of victory. And Clare could not have been sure. She did get that deathbed grace that the Pope signed off on her proposal for life. But we need to understand that it was a close call. She might well have died before she got that, but she never slackened in her insistence that she would try to get the highest level of approval, which basically was the first time in history a woman's rule received a papal signature.